So in databases, the electronic databases, especially the software, we use with a special name, which we call database management system, or in short, we will say DBMS, database management system. So in this unit, we will look at how we could create database using software, and there are various software available, and the one that we are going to use is actually Microsoft Access, which is a commercial and proprietary software. Commercial means you have to pay for it. Proprietary means that everything is actually owned by the company, which means we are not allowed to see the code. Everything is copyrighted. But then there are many other alternatives out there for free and open source, which is you don't have to pay for it, and as well as you can see how they have written the piece of software, like MySQL. But right now we cannot exactly say it's free and open source, because later the commercial successor of Oracle, we call it, Oracle acquired MySQL. But then people started, creating same code base and named as MariaDB. Now the free version actually MariaDB, you can see, but they look the same. If you install MySQL, you install MariaDB, both will look the same set of commands. Then Oracle was the commercial successor, which means most of the organizations, they were using Oracle. Again, it's commercial and proprietary. And many commercial organizations, their systems were built on top of this database. Then we have other alternative, LibreOffice. They call it base, free and open source. Right. So these are the things that you need to remember. Now, the next thing that I just highlighted, what are the newest piece of software available. We will have Firebase, we have Neo4j, we have MongoDB, we have SQLite, right? So these are like emerging, or you can say these are the latest piece of databases that we are supposed to use, right? Right. Now, then we discuss the advantages of database management systems, why we need it. Then we also talk about some of the data types, right? So in databases, when you're defining data, we have to talk about the data types as well. So that is what we have discussed. And then when you talk about the data types, you can have text data. Whenever you are going to enter a mix of letters, numbers, special characters, right? We consider that data type as a text data. And then numbers, right? Numbers meaning you can have whole numbers, which means integers, or maybe you have numbers with the decimal places, like real, we call it. But usually when you specify a data type as a number, usually it should be could be used for calculation. So make this note of this one, because sometimes you might confuse with this one, right? Then we have currency. Now, one of the things that actually you should know, this number representation in computers, it's binary. And what we are using is decimal, isn't it? Now you have to map in between binary to decimal, and you will learn later on that not all the numbers we cannot, represent exactly. Like for example, 0.3, you cannot exactly represent inside the computer. So you can store something like 0.2999999 and so on. So when you perform calculation, sometimes you might notice this. So sometimes you expect the answer as 4, but you are getting something like 3.99, which is very close to actual answer. So the reason is some numbers we can represent exactly as it is, which will create a problem for money, right? You save like 3,000 in your account, and next day when you check your account, if you have 2,999, you are getting mad, isn't it? So because of that, for currency, we will have a special data type called currency. This is to represent currency unit. So we need the exact amounts. We have to be precise. So then we use this special format for that. Then we have date and time. If you want to store date or time or both, you will use date and time. So you are not going to separate this. You always say it's date and time. And finally, we discuss Boolean, which is usually two distinct value, true, false, right? You can use it for other one as well, because this needs only one bit. Now, depend on the data type we select, the space it consumes will be different. So you have to be precise, or you have to be optimistic when you're selecting a data type. So remember this one. So selecting data type is very important. Right. The next one. Okay. There's another thing that when you talk about the data types, there are different formats. There are different ways you represent things, like a name, for example. When you data collection, for example, you can specify that, okay, you need the name in uppercase letters or lowercase letters or mixed cases. Similarly, numbers, you can get it as integer values or decimal values, the date in different formats, time in different formats. There are various things that you need to consider. So usually when you specify the date type, we will also like specify the format, right? What exact format you need the data, right? So keep this in mind. So very important. Now, then we have like done couple of exercises on, given the field name, what data types we could use. Admission numbers, of course, it should be text. Yeah, sometimes people can say number, but I prefer text because, it's not necessarily only numbers. So sometimes the text could be also used. And the other point is, usually admission numbers are not used for calculations, isn't it? So the most preferred answer for me should be text. Name, definitely text. Gender, you can go for text or Boolean, right? When you say gender, you can have male and female, so you can go for text. But if you want to save space, then I suggest go for Boolean, because you need only one bit of information. Then date of birth, definitely it's date and time, and address, it should be text. Right. Then again, we done some examples. The last time we were discussing, right, the relational databases, because there are many ways that you can model data. Model data means the represented in data, there are different ways, right? Nowadays, we have a relational as well as non-relational databases are available, but our discussion is focused on relational databases. Relations means you are going to work on relations. So we can say, if the question asks, what is a relational database? A relational database consists of a collection of related tables. So it will be a set of tables. And we will learn that tables are separated. And then we have connections. We define few ideas like primary keys, foreign keys, which we use to connect these tables together. And that's how we will get a relational database. Now, if you start with a table, because I told you relational database is a collection of related tables. So you will have set of records and set of fields. So simply you can say table is a collection of records, and a record consists of a collection of fields. Right. Now let's look at an example. Now in this example database, example relational database, keep track of student performance, or you can simply say it's student marks. But this one stores such a way that student table is separated. That means student information is separated into a student table. Subject table separated. All the subjects are put into one table. And what students take for the marks for each of these subjects, we put a marks table. So you see here, there are three tables: student table, subject table, and marks table. Right. So in student table, for example, so you will see we have admission number, name, and address. In subject table, we have subject code and subject name. Marks table, we have admission number, subject code, and marks. Right. The table separation we will discuss later on how we are going to do this. This is to minimize the duplicates, and once you properly separate the data, you can easily enter data. Now, for example, we can just when we have a student, we can enter his details in the student table. Subject table, we can put it separately. Then marks table later on, when students sit for particular subject, you can enter marks in the marks table. Right. Another thing that we have discussed is for every table, we have a unique field, which we call primary key. Now that's why we have something called admission number. We know name and addresses could be same. If you check your name, for example, given name, right? There are plenty of people out there with the same name. For example, my name. When I searched it in the Google, I thought I'm the only one is having the same name. No, right? So I hope you could also check. So that's why we have admission number. Every time students, enrolled into a school, right, they will give you an admission number. So this is to uniquely identify each of the students, which is what we are going to select as a primary key. So primary keys are underlined in the table in this representation. Similarly, subjects also. Subjects, the same subject name could be used. Sometimes you have old syllabus, new syllabus. Because of that, to uniquely identify each of these subjects, we are using subject code. So subject code is a unique field, which is a primary key in subject table. Now, similarly, if you look for marks table, we have admission number, subject code, and marks. If you take admission number alone, you cannot identify uniquely each of these records, because like same person may take multiple subjects. Similarly, the subject code as well. Many people taking a particular subject. So now to create the primary key for this one, you have to consider two fields together, right? To find the unique row, you have to use both admission number and subject code. So primary key for this particular table is admission number and subject code together. Then we are going to talk about the foreign key. The arrows indicate that how these fields are connected to the other table. By going through the links, you can get whatever the data you need. So that's very simple idea of relational databases, right? Okay, now the above data without relations we have seen, and we said there are a lot of issues. What issues we discuss is, changes are difficult. Changes are difficult. Deleting is difficult because when you delete, for example, Saman, it will remove the subject mathematics also from the table. So you are going to lose information. So remember, when you are creating relations or the tables, you have to make sure that you are going to avoid these issues, right? Okay. So then we discuss official discussion of primary key. So you can say that it could be a column or set of columns. We have seen earlier for student table and subject table, it will be one. But marks table, it is two, right? So it depends. So it could be a single column or it could be a set of columns. Together, you are going to uniquely identify each of the records. You should be able to identify the records uniquely. And remember, there should be only one primary key for a table. Right? Sometimes if you take a person, right, you have a national identity card number, it's unique. Driving license number, it's unique. Passport number, it's unique. But if you are going to have everything in a table, you can take only one value as the primary key. So remember, right? So in a table, you will have only one primary key. There could be many unique keys, but one of that we will take in as a primary key. Right. Now we have discussed this idea. So sometimes in the examinations, like when you go for exams, right, next year by this time, you are going to sit for the exam, isn't it? If everything runs smoothly. So hopefully, right? When that happens, you will also get admission numbers and then you have index numbers. They both are unique. But if you're going to have this information in a table, you can take only one things as the primary key. Right. And I think this is the place where we have stopped last time. So let's discuss other ideas, right? Let's look at, there could be composite keys. Now, when you're using multiple, right, then we call composite key. For example, marks table, we have to combine both keys together. So similarly, we can define. So in a primary key, when you define a primary key, if it contains multiple or several columns, right, we call it a composite key. We will call it composite key. So what is a composite key? If you have a primary key which consists of several columns, then we call it a composite key, right? If a primary key consists of several columns, then we call it a composite key. So let's take an example from your textbook. So this is one example, right? You don't have to take down everything here, right? Let's look at this table. If you want to take down, take some time, but yeah, only headings are enough like this. So you can say, you can have a sports table, if you want to take down about the table details, putting the basic information is enough. So you can say, okay, sports table, and then we can have year, and then we can have sport, captain, and vice captain. So if you look at carefully in this table, if you take year, we have repeated values. So we cannot use it as a primary key. Take sport. Again, there are duplicate values. It's not unique. So you cannot use sport as well. Captain, some people are very smart. So they may captain, multiple games. Vice captain, it's the same. So when you want to create a primary key for this table, you have to consider both year and sports together. So which we call composite key. We have to use both year and sports. So the primary key for this table is, we can say, okay, in short, I will say primary key is year and sport together, right? For this table. Right. Yes. Next, we'll look at the foreign keys. Now, I hope you have a good understanding of what are primary keys, right? But the same primary key, if it consists of multiple fields, then we usually call it a composite key. Right. Okay. Now let's use foreign key. Right. Now we have already seen that we need to use some of the fields to connect the tables, right? Connect the table. Now these attributes or the fields are known as foreign key. Now let me get back to foreign key. Let's define what a foreign key is. Now, foreign key is the one is going to create the relationship, right? Because I told you these are related tables. Now we talk about tables, but if you want to create the relationship, you need a foreign key. Foreign key, right? So we can take down the foreign key is what? A field which is used to create the relationship to the other table. I told you like these are related tables. But there's another condition. So how do you make the relationship? Now let's say we have two tables. Let's say, and this is example you don't have to take down. Let's say we have two tables. I have variable, name A and B. The other table, let's say I have another table with C and D. Are these two tables related? So if you want to connect these two tables together, you have to have a common field. Let's say I'm going to take A. So I can have A here. So now the issue is which A is a foreign key. So remember the other condition is a foreign key should connect to the other table's primary key. So this is primary key anyway, but it's connecting, okay, not the primary key. So this is not a foreign key. Take this one. This is a candidate because it's common to both. And this will connect to the primary key of this table. So because of that, this A is a foreign key, right? Now let's take the example from the previous one. What was the previous example? Now we have this relational table, right? So in the relational table that we have earlier, we can say, right, do you have foreign keys in student table? Just check student table. Yeah, only common in student table is admission number, with admission number is marks table. But that admission number, if you take it from the student table, right, will not connect to the primary key of this. Admission number එක විතරක් ගත්තොත් මෙතනදී ඒක මේකට සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද මේක දෙකම තියෙනවා. නිසා මේ පැත්ත ගත්තොත් මේක හරි foreign key එකක් වෙන්න බෑ. මේ පැත්තට ගමු. admission number කියන එක ගත්තොත් ඒ admission number එක සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ මේ table එකේ admission number එක. Sorry, primary key එකත් එක්ක. Then we know we can take this admission number is a foreign key. ඒක නිසා අපිට ලියන්න පුළුවන් here. Now we can say, right, පළවෙනි table එක ගත්තොත් if you take table student table, no foreign keys. No foreign keys. But here we will say, right, we can say foreign key. Our first one is admission number. Right. Similarly, if you take these two tables, subject code is common. So let's take this one. So this is connecting to this table, but it's not the primary key because it's a part of it. So this is not a primary, no, this is not a foreign key. So we can say here that no foreign keys. No foreign keys. Yes, you're not. You can have it. Right. Then let's look at this subject code. This subject code connect to the primary key of the subject table, isn't it? So this is a foreign key. So the second foreign key is the second one. So this table has two foreign keys, admission number and subject code. Make a note of it. So if you take this table, right? No foreign keys in the student table, no foreign keys in the subject table, but there are two foreign keys in admission number and subject code in the marks table. Okay, so let's take down this. So we can say that from the above, right, we can say admission number and subject code. Admission number, admission number, number, and subject code are foreign keys. Subject codes in the marks table are foreign. So admission number in the marks table connects admission number in the student table. It's a primary key, right? On the second one, subject code in the marks table connects subject code in the subject table. So make a note of these two. Now, I think with this one, we are comfortable with primary keys and foreign keys. Now, let me give you a small exercise. So the exercise is, let's say we have three tables. Now in this one, I'm not giving you any data, just a name of the table. There are three tables: student, course, and student course. So student consists of student number, name, address. Course consists of course number, name. Student course consists of student number and course number. Right, here is how we will have. I want you to identify primary keys first, then foreign keys. So in this exercise, we have given three tables: student, course, student, course. So the first table, you have student details. Second one, course detail. Students can take courses. So you remember that student can take multiple courses. Okay, so we have to use student course, both student and course together to get a unique value. Right, now the foreign keys. Yes. What are the foreign keys you have? So now we know this is a primary key. This is a primary key. These two together primary key. Right? Now let's look at, is this only common one is this one, student number, but it will connect to this one, but this is not a primary key, it's a part of the primary key. So no foreign keys. No. Second one, course number is there. It's common to both course and student course. But then, yes, course number. So the course number in a student course is not a primary key, it's a part of the primary key. So this is also, we don't have any foreign keys. Right here, there are two foreign keys. If you take student number, it will connect to the student number is a student table. Right? And student number is a primary key in the student table. So SNO is a primary, foreign key. It will connect to the student table. Then the second one is course number. It will connect to the course table. So there are two foreign keys. So let's talk about the types of relationships. We can define the nature of relationships, right? As one to one, one to many, many to many. There are three types. Right? The relationships are, we can say one to one, different types of relationships are there. One to one. If you take a table, one side, let's take two tables, right? So I'm going to take all the husbands into one table. I'm going to say husband, right? Then all the wives, this is legal, huh? Legally married. Huh? All the husbands we put in one table. All the wives, I put another table. If you take one husband, how many wives he can have? Yes, only one, right? Take a wife. I'm talking about the legal relationship here. Yes, wife can have one husband, except some other religions and some other countries, right? Unfortunately, in our country, we can have only one, right? Remember that. So if you have both ways, one and one, that means when you have one husband can take one wife can take one husband. It should work both ways. Then this relationship known as one-to-one. We call one-to-one. එක ටේබල් එකකින් හම්බන්ද වෙන්න පුළුවන් අනිත් ටේබල් එක රෙකෝඩ් එකක් එක විතරමයි. මෙහා පැත්තේ ටේබල් එකේ එක රෙකෝඩ් එකක් ගත්තොත් එහා පැත්තේ සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ එකමයි. අපි කියනවා one to one relationship. හරි? මේක අතරම ටේබල් ඩේටාක් තිබුණා නම් තමයි ඔයාලට ඔය අපි මේ කියන එක තේරෙන්නේ. මම හිතන දල වශයෙන් අදහසක් ගන්න පුළුවන් අපි දැනට අපි හිතමු one to one. එක ටේබල් එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒකේ එක රෙකෝඩ් එකක් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ අනිත් ටේබල් එකේ එකක් නම් ඒ ටේබල් එකකින් ගත්තොත් අනිත් ටේබල් එකේ සම්බන්ධ වෙන එකක් නම් අන්න one to one. තව graphical representation එකක් තියෙනවා මම එකත් පුතාලට පෙන්නලා ඉන්න මේ වැඳ ගන්න ඕනේ. මෙන්න මේ representation එක ගත්තොත් මේක table එකේ තියෙන records නම් එක record එක සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ අනෙක් table එකේ එක record එකක් නම් ඒ table එකේ එයා සම්බන්ධ වෙන එකක් විතර නම් අපි කියනවා මේක one to one කියලා. one to one relationship. එකමයි එක පැත්තකින් ගත්තොත් එක record එකක් විතරමයි. Then it's one to one relationship. Right? Then I will take another example. Right. I will take mother and child. I will take mother and child. Mother and child. අම්මා කෙනෙකුට දරුවෝ කීයක් ඉන්න පුළුවන්? ඔව්. බිංදුවක් හෝ ඊට වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. දරුවෝ නැති අම්මලාත් ඉන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි උපරිම අපි සලකන්නේ. එහෙනම් එකකට වඩා වැඩි. අම්මා කෙනෙක් ගත්තාම if you take a mother she can have More than one child, isn't it? Many. Take a child. How many mothers? Hmm? Only one mother. Ne? එකන අපි මෙතනින් ගත්තොත් මේ කෙනෙක් ගත්තොත් එයා සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා අනිත් ටේබල් එකේ කීප දෙනෙක් එක්ක. හැබැයි ඒ ටේබල් එක ගත්තොත් සම්බන්ධ වෙන එකක් එක විතරමයි. එකක් එක විතරමයි. If this is the situation, we call it one to many. One to many. එක අම්මා කෙනෙකුට ළමයි ගොඩයි. එක ළමයෙකුට එක අම්මා කෙනයි. One to many. ඊළඟ මෙහෙම ගත්තොත් another one. Teach a student. Sorry. Teach a student. ඔයගොල්ලන් ගුරුවරයෙක් ගන්න. ළමයි කීයකට උගන්වනවද? උගන්වන්නේ නැති ගුරුවරුත් ඇති. හැබැයි බහුතරයක් ගොඩක් ළමයිට උගන්වනවා. ළමයෙක් ගන්න. ගුරුවරු කී දෙනෙක්ගෙන් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා? ඉගෙන ගන්න නැති ළමයිනුත් ඇති. හැබැයි අනිවාර්යෙන් ගුරුවරු ගොඩක් එක්ක සම්බන්ධයි. එහෙනම් පොතේ එක ටේබල් එකේ එක රෙකෝඩ් එකක් අනෙක් ටේබල් එකේ ගොඩක් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා නම් ඒ දෙවෙනි ටේබල් එකේ රෙකෝඩ් එකක් අනෙක් ටේබල් එකේ ගොඩක් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා නම් අපි කියනවා many to many කියලා. Right. There are three types කියලා අපි ලිව්වා. Let's take down. Yes, what are the three? Yes. One to one. One to many. Many to many. සමහර අය many to one කියලාත් කියනවා, but it's the same, right? One to many or many to one, it will be the same. Only change is, it will change the table. Right. So there are three types of relationships we can find: one to one, one to many, and many to many. Right. Let's write down. So what is one to one? Yes, one to one. So one to one means a record in the first table is related to exactly one record in a second table, and a record in the second table is related to the exactly one record in the first table. Then we call it one to one. තනි table එක නෙමෙයි අපි table දෙකක් ගැන කියන්නේ. A record in the first table connects to the record in the second table. And take the record in the second table, and if it relates to exactly one in the first table, both sides, we say it's a one to one. The example that we have said, okay, husband and wife. It's one to one. Then one to many. Now you know how to change this, right? One to many. One to many means a record in the first table is related to exactly one record in the second table, and a record in the second table is related to more than one record in the first table, right? Then it is considered one to many. ඒ කියන්නේ එක පැත්තකට එකයි අනිත් පැත්තට ගොඩයි. ඕකේ අනිත් පැත්තත් මේකම තමයි ගන්න. නේ එක පැත්තකට ගොඩයි අනිත් පැත්තට එකයි නේ ඒත් one to many තමයි කියන්නේ. සමහර අය many to one කියන but yeah one to many. Last one many to many. Last one many to many. What do you mean by many to many now? A record in any table related to more than one record to the other table, we call many to many. So teacher student is one example, right? Teacher student is one example. So let me give a small exercise you to try. Give me the answers for these. What kind of a relationship you have? Is it one to one, one to many, or many to many? So the first one, doctor and patient, we know that one doctor can have many patients. A patient can have many doctors. Likewise, if you look at the doctor and hospital, one doctor, can one doctor work for multiple hospitals or is it only one hospital? Yes?
Multiple.
Multiple? Yes, along the time, but let's say every 3 years or 5 years, they are going to change the hospital. In that sense, that's okay. But usually it's one, right? So a doctor works for a hospital, not for many hospitals. It could happen some situations, but mainly if you take a doctor, he works for one hospital. Take the hospital, how many doctors? Many, right?
Many.
So, yeah. So we can say this is as one to many. Principal and school. Take a principal. Usually a principal works in, yes, one school, right? Usually one school. There could be exceptional situation, multiple, but usually we have one school. And take a school, how many principals? There are many vice principals, but principal only one, isn't it? A principal works for one school. A school has only one principal, isn't it? So 1 to 1. Okay, fourth one, teacher. Take a teacher, and usually he works for one school. Take a school. How many teachers? Many teachers. So it should be one to many. How about student and school? Take a student, he attend only one school, right? A school can have many. So then many, sorry, one to many. Because a student is enrolled into one school. Teacher school, teacher student, we already know that this should be many to many. So remember, when you want to identify relationships, you have to consider both tables. Take record in the first table, see how many rows it can connect to in the second table. Then take a record from the second table and see how many records in the first table can it connect to. So by looking at, you can classify it as a one to many, sorry, one to one, one to many, and many to many. Right. Without going any further, right, we'll move to the next one. Right. There are a few things that we have to note down, but to explain this, we need to do the practical. So let's finish the theory and then we'll go for practical. Okay. The first one is forms. I hope you are familiar with form filling like Google form nowadays. Yes, you can fill forms. Yes, forms are used to enter data into tables in a database management system. So we can use forms to generate table. In Google Forms also, we can get something and we can put it to an Excel table, and later on we can create convert it to a database, right? So forms can be used for two purposes: one to enter data, one to view data. If you have a Gmail account, right, when you're creating a Gmail account, you create a form. Okay? You create a form. So forms can be used to get the data as well as view the data. Right. If you have finished taking down, please indicate. Right. I have created a form. Right. I'm going to share this with you. You are supposed to fill it. Okay. So chat, I put this link. Yes, fill the form now. Quickly. I want you to fill the form. Right. I am waiting for the answers. Fill the form. Okay, we got 1, 2. Okay, we got 3. So we have 14 in the class. So I'm waiting for the others to fill. You see the nowadays the data collection is very easy, right? Interactively we can get the data. 3 more to go. Two more to go. One more to go. Okay, so here is the results, right? Okay, favorite color. 4% says black, 2 says white, 3 says red, right? 1 says purple, 1 pink. Okay, 13 responses. How come? We have, right? Yes. We have 14 to go now. Yeah. One more to come. Okay, now I think we have did. Okay, so the summary is black 4, white 2, red 3, 1 pink, 1 purple, and there are 3 others, right? And then favorite sport, badminton, we have 1, cricket with I think 2 spellings or something. Because of that we have 6. Netball 1, table tennis 1, Yenula 1. Okay, how come? Cricket 2, altogether cricket will be 8. Esports 1, LA 1. Okay, good. Wow. Favorite food, apple 1, crispy chickens 1. Okay, hatta kelino. Right. Fried rice 1, ice cream 1, pasta 1, pizza 2, submarine 1, valley talapa 1, cake 1, haven't. Okay, Himalaya. Ice cream, I think I have seen earlier as well. Okay, rice, valley talapa. Okay, wow. Good to hear that. Now, we can easily get the data here, right? We can put into a, spreadsheet, right? I can create. So which is actually database, right? The Excel forms are sometimes taken as a database, which you will learn later on, right? And then here are the, all these details, right? So here is the summary. And if you go to Google Data Studio, in Data Studio, I can, look at the data, right? I can, yes, I will say blank one, right? I'm going to get a Google Sheet to connect, sample form. Okay, I'm going to add. Yes, add. Okay, so here are the details, right? Now we can create a report of what do you have been given to us, favorite color with the record count, right? And then maybe I can add a chart. Okay, pie chart. Okay, we'll have pie chart here. Now I can get the data, right? Right. So this is your favorites. Add another chart. We'll have another chart. Right now, this time, right? I'm going to change the data now. We already have this. So because of that, maybe I can change the dimension favorite color to favorite food, right? And then we can have another chart. Yes. So this is the beauty of now what we have the tools. We can do anything we want. Okay, so this is cricket, right? So whatever you want the data, we can now easily figure this out. You can see now it visually represent the data, right? And then you can query as well. Actually, I wanted to teach the query here. Query means we can filter the data. Now, for example, here we can filter the data, right? We could have changed the data. We can add multiple sources together to combine the outcome. Okay, so that is possible because of beauty of the tools available right now. Okay, right. I will stop for today. But we have just seen is the basics. I think we have to discuss only very few. One is queries, and then we have the reports. Only two topics we will have, but then we have almost that, right? So just to show you like some questions, we will discuss this next week, right? So here is like 2017 exam paper. So this is how you look, the question look like, right? So you have given some data like this. And normally it will ask, okay, what are the primary keys? What are the foreign keys? How do you add fields? Like which table we should put them, right? How do you update the tables? Right? If you want to like find some data, like what tables to be connected. So this is actually one of the easiest questions if you understand properly, right? Which means if you are comfortable with what's primary keys, what foreign keys, I do not think you have an issue of understanding. Okay. So having said that, we'll finish for today. And hopefully we will meet next week. I have not think about yet when to start classes physically.